So I saw a message a couple of days ago from a fellow musician who made a comment on the first video I did concerning the 4 and the 5 chords and the Fleetwood Mac song Dreams. And he made note of something that made me think that I need to clarify something I've always thought was strange in the world of music theory. So he mentioned that he thought it was cool to think of the key of the song Dreams in the key of C, which is what I said in the first video, as opposed to the key of A minor. Funny thing though, is that I do hear it in A minor, but not in the same way he does probably, or probably more than 99% of musicians. It was at that point I realized that I needed to be more clear and explain that I purposefully go against the paradigm, against the norm, when referring to chord naming. And it's hugely important that I tell you how I look at it, and more importantly why. Because the reason I see it that way is to allow the power of the chord personalities to be let in. First, I have to go a bit deeper into the realm of chord names and explain to you what's normally done with Roman numeral naming systems, and then what I do and why I do it. And this episode will also help cement the way we will look at the chord names and some other fundamental things that are important for us moving forward. Again, if you haven't seen the first video, go grab a look and come back. Okay, so let's go. As I said for that song, we've named our chords with the Roman numerals according to the C scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. And so the resulting 4 chord and the 5 chord fall on the F triad and the G triad respectively. Now he mentioned that he always felt the song was in the key of A minor, and that seeing the F triad and G triad as the 4 and the 5 was a cool and neat different perspective. But he always heard those chords as 6 and 7 chords, and you'll find out why later in this video. And you'll find out why he's correct when he says this, but with a catch, so stay tuned to find out. So then it dawned on me that I didn't explain something crucial to being able to hear and feel the music in the way I'm trying to make you feel it as well. In order for me to move on with showing you my perspective on chord feelings and the emotional engineering that chord movement and progressions provide, I have to ask you to trust in a new way of thinking.
Trust only in the force.
And for those of you who are learning this for the first time with these videos, you won't have to retrain your brain. You can continue just as you're going, but you can also use this video to understand what to say to anyone who questions why you call a certain chord by a certain Roman numeral in this particular pursuit. It's a huge part of why I call this first series How to Listen Like a Jedi, because I was always fascinated by the concept from Star Wars of having to accept a new way or philosophy by breaking out of the way you might normally view things in order to gain a new ability or power.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Now, just because you learn this new way doesn't mean that you can't use the other naming convention. It just means that if you want to feel the chords and use that power to listen more deeply, you have to shift your thinking for this purpose. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Here are the Roman numeral triad chord names in a major scale. I'll use the key of C again. It has no flats or sharps. And by the way, flats and sharps, or accidentals as they're called in music theory, raise or lower the note by a half step, up or down. In the key of C, there are no flats and sharps. But for example, in the key of E, there are 4 sharps, and in F, there's 1 flat. That's because scales travel from octave to octave via tones and semitones. Each key on a piano is separated by a semitone, and 2 semitones make up a full tone. And their interval name is a minor second for a semitone and a major second for a tone. So for the major scale, we walk up the keyboard like this. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And the minor scale, it's tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. Other types of scales exist as well and have a different map to go from octave to octave. And we'll get to those in a more advanced video. Rewind if you need to and make sure you've got a good understanding of that. So, like I said before, the triads associated with each note use the Roman numerals. Uppercase for major triads and lowercase for minor triads. A minor triad is only a slight adjustment of a major triad. The interval between the tonic and the second note is lowered by a semitone. Here's a major triad, and here's a minor triad. See, the second note is flattened to make it a C minor. Okay, enough theory for a bit. So whenever we hear a passage of music, it exists within the framework of something called a key. Each key is the team of notes that the passage of music is using. Musicians use these team members like a sports team, carefully chosen to execute a certain play.
Alrighty.
Come on, pick me, pick me.
I will take Stuart.
Yes!
So here's a theme I wrote for a movie, and it's in the key of F sharp minor, which has 3 sharps: F sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. You can see that all the notes in this piece of music are a part of a team of notes that make up the key. And in this key, the key of F sharp minor, chosen for its gentle mood and contemplative intimacy, the overall effect of this comes from the team of notes in this key. When a composer writes music, they choose keys for varieties of reasons. For example, we might choose a key to suit the limits of a certain instrument. Like if the key is too high, a singer can't hit the notes, so it's a good idea to lower the key to avoid any disasters. So, I like to think of the key of the song as the particular home of the family of notes, and this family is responsible for what's called the tonal center of the song. The tonal center. So since the tonal center is based on the key of the song, it can bring an overall feeling to the whole musical passage. If a tonal center is minor, then the music can, in most cases, sound serious or sad or concerning. If the tonal center is major, then the song can, in most cases, sound bright, positive, confident, or reassuring, and all those related things. And also, this is very important. A major key has a relative minor, and a minor key has a relative major. Look at it like a family. The happy, stable family has relatives that are wholly unique in their approach to life, but share the same DNA. This can be good and can be bad.
Vicky, can I help you with that Kool-Aid? Please?
So, let's go back to what that fellow musician said about the song Dreams and its tonal center, its key. He mentioned that Dreams was in A minor, but that I referred to it in C major. A minor is the relative minor of the key of C major because it contains the same family of notes as C major. No sharps, no flats, all white keys on the piano. But he also said that what I was calling the 4 and the 5 chord, to him would be the 6 and the 7 chord. And he's 100% correct if you abide by what is taught in classical music theory. And here is where I need to tell you that I disagree with the way musicians have been taught to name the Roman numeral chords.
They don't line up.
They do. If you think like a pagan.
In the naming language of music as taught by the establishment, the rule is to change the numerals if the key is a minor key. So, if the song is in A minor, what's known as the 6 minor chord, the minor triad of the 6th note of the number 6 in the C scale, traditionally we're told to make that the new 1 chord and make it a lowercase I. So a minor, a 1 chord but a minor.
There's no logic in this at all.
This, in my view, shatters the ability to assign feelings to the chords because we're changing up the language, the lexicon of naming the chords. It's not possible to learn how to hear and recognize and feel the personalities of the chords and the chord progressions without jettisoning the way we rename the chord names. We must always know that the 1 chord is home, even if we're in a minor key. This adjustment in thinking for the purpose of composition is, in my opinion and experience, essential and crucial. We need to maintain the same naming structure in order to feel the gravitational forces of emotion inherent in each chord type. So I know this has been a pretty technical episode, but it's so important for you to recalibrate your naming of the chords if you are to achieve this new way of feeling the chords.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
So climb this tree again if you have to, watch the video, get a good firm grasp of this, because it's a new perspective. And I'll see you in the next episode.